views and opinions of any of the guests of After Hours AM are not necessarily the views and opinions of After Hours AM, its hosts, its staff, or any of its affiliates.
Welcome to the After Hours program.
Are you ready?
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Now broadcasting live from the After Hours AM studio, Joel Sturgis.
And welcome to this edition of After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is Mr. Michael O'Neill. And tonight we're talking with Dina Dreezy. She is the special, ultra special VIP guest co-host tonight. She won the contest for the big event where Michael is hosting in October. So again, you can check all that out at mnparacon.com for all information on that. Coming up this October, be a lot of fun. You're not going to want to miss it. Tonight we're talking with Chris Fleming, by request, mind you. By request, we're having Chris Fleming on, which is awesome because, as you know, if you're a long-time listener, we've never had him on. We've never been able to make our schedules kind of jive to get him on. So we're getting him on tonight, which would be totally cool. But I'm going to step aside, and I'm going to talk to both Mike and I'm going to talk to Dina. Mike, how are you doing? Before we crack this open on the Rook. Before we crack it open on poor Dina, I'll ask you how you're doing.
I'm doing great, but let me just say that your opening there was very enthusiastic and energetic.
I try to be. It's summertime and it's July and weather's beautiful. Why not?
Like I almost thought you were going to hold the welcome, like a little longer.
Or I could have done the whole Good Morning Vietnam thing, I suppose.
You mean like I do on the Odyssey Files?
Well, yeah, but I'm a little bit better at it.
No.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. I used to voice monster truck rallies, my friend.
Do you want to have a Cronauer off?
Not at the moment, no, because more important things to talk about.
Yes,
and that is the winner that is here, that's graciously blessing us with their presence. Dina, how the hell are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you tonight?
Good. What's in a nice girl like you getting into the paranormal for, by the way? What brings you into it?
I think I've always felt the paranormal to be interesting and intriguing, and probably even before I really even knew what it exactly was. I just remember being a little girl and staying at my grandma's house and, feeling the presence of different spirits and receiving different messages, but I was very young, so I didn't really know what it was. And then later growing up, as a teenager and as an adult, being able to kind of feel things sometimes before they happen and being able to share that with some of my family and friends to kind of keep them safe. So it's all kind of tied me into the paranormal and just always wanting to dig deeper and know more.
So you're saying that you're a bit on, I don't want to go full-fledged psychic, but maybe you have some abilities. Sensitives. There we go. That's the word.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah, and it's still going on to this day.
Yes, it does. It happens a lot. So, but mostly in ways where I just feel things that are going to happen, and mostly with people that are close to me, but I usually don't know exactly which one of them it is. So I kind of reach out to them to let them know and let them know when I think that they need to be careful or something's coming, things like that.
That's got to be kind of frustrating, though. You don't know which one it is, so you got to go down your entire list.
Yeah.
Call everybody you know. Hey, be careful, by the way. What? Be careful.
Usually just people really close to me, like my children or my sister or my sister's kids, that kind of a way.
Gotcha.
Or maybe a best friend.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like one of those sitcoms, like a psychic sitcom where you have to go through and try to use the clues to figure out who it is.
Right.
This
Exactly.
week on Psychic Dina, we watch her call a total stranger. Well, that
Psychic
is an.
Dina, I like that.
That
I
is-
watch it.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's cool. That is really cool. And of course, what other passions do you have? Obviously, paranormal can't be it. What else drives Dina?
What else drives me? I'm really interested in developing others and leadership and management. Working with students and managers, things like that. Just helping to develop them and helping them to reach their goals and their aspirations with their careers.
You're an efficiency expert.
Maybe so. Maybe.
Well, somebody has to be efficient around here. Might as well be you.
This is not going to be you
No, God, no.
or me.
No, I'm in radio for a reason.
Because it's flip a switch and you're there.
That's right. It's easy, man. No, it's not that easy, but I enjoy it. I've been doing. I don't know anything else, to be honest. Been doing it since I was 16. So, what else would I do? You know,
Like basket weaving. Maybe?
you know, I tried that one time. I was horrible at it. I almost drowned. By the way,
Did you say you almost drowned
yeah, I did.
by basket weaving?
I'm
Yes,
confused.
it's the
You know
under.
you-
It's the
You know you don't have to,
underwater.
do that in a body of water, right?
I thought you did. I thought you did. So I went to a lake, jumped in with my little ribbons, started weaving away, and next thing you know, I'm getting lightheaded and floating to the top. I'm sorry, it happens. When they said underwater basket weaving, I took it literal.
Is that a thing? What? That sounds vaguely familiar. Is that really a thing, underwater basket weaving?
It is
Or am I
now.
am I completely off base here? For whatever reason, underwater basket weaving sounds plausible.
Well, it is now a thing, but yeah, I mean, people have joked around about underwater basket weaving. I thought it was a thing. No, I never drown. I never weave baskets underwater. No. But I did try to carry one on my head once, and that was horrible, too. Oh, no, I didn't have the balance for that. So that job ended abruptly.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Treadmill salesman, you could do that.
There you go.
That's more of a job for you, Mike.
No,
I
really.
could
Does it
see
look
you
like
being
I know anything about
I
treadmill?
could see you being a treadmill salesman. You know, you got these different speeds right here. You know, if you don't know how to figure them out, you're just stupid. I could see you being that way.
And every single customer, the one question they would have to ask is, have you ever used this?
Am I going to die using this?
No. Have I ever used this?
Well,
And I'm going to be like, nope.
if,
no, I haven't.
if they have to ask that question to you, they
don't, but I
clearly
think they're
have
gonna do it
vision
to the
issues.
Right. That's what I'm
As-
trying to say. I
As
would be
that'd be-
terrible treadmill salesman.
Exact. So would I. So, you know, I have
Right, but
a treadmill. I have a treadmill, but that's the extent of my treadmill training.
You own one, but have never used it. Now hold
I have
close,
used
or-
it. I have used it, but I felt like a rat in a wheel.
Aw.
You know what I mean? Just sit there and you're not going anywhere. Why are you walking so fast, not going anywhere?
You just gotta listen to some good music.
That doesn't really
and go
make
in
any
zone.
sense. You know, but if I'm running from something, you better bet something's chasing me and you better start running too. That's all I got to say about that one. We got to get Abe in here, so we're going to call
Yes,
Abe
we
Del Rio. You guys know him. You guys love him. He is, of course, the founder and organizer of the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference that's coming up. Let me get Abe in here. I do apologize if you hear any dialing because our phone system sometimes it doesn't work all the greatest.
It's transmitted.
Hey, handsome.
Hey, Abe, how you doing? Everybody on the
I'm
board
doing
with us
good,
is
brother.
Abe
Abe, you
Del Rio.
obviously don't know who you're talking to.
Yeah,
'cause
he
you just said
doesn't
handsome.
know, I guess. But how you doing, Abe? We're live
I
on
know
air
who
here.
I'm talking to, and I don't wear glasses.
Well, not anymore, or any less, right? No, you're not glasses wearer. So you're here for a reason, though, man. I'd love to talk with you, love to
Yes.
catch up, but you got some big stuff going on in Grand Rapids, Minnesota this next month.
Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. So Minnesota Bigfoot Conference, that's exactly what's going on. And we're doing this because the Minnesota Bigfoot research team is turning 20 years. Actually, we're not turning. We are 20 years old now as of last May. So in light of our 20-year anniversary, I was thinking, what can we do to celebrate that? It's a mile marker. So we are throwing the very first ever historic event, Minnesota Bigfoot Conference, Grand Rapids, Minnesota, August 7th, 8th, and 9th. The actual day of the conference is going to be August 8th. We have awesome speaker lineup. The whole weekend is going to be full of events. For instance, Friday the 7th, we are going to be having a speaker dinner. After that, then we are going to have a meet and greet. And then after the meet and greet, we are taking people who have the tickets purchased to do so and waivers signed to go out into the field with some team members and 2 of our speakers. So that is going to be action-packed. We never know what's going to happen when you're out in the woods, but hopefully we can have some kind of action. Then, yes, the day of the 8th, Saturday, vendor tables are going to start claiming their tables about 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. We are opening the doors, and we are going to hold the town hall meeting. Everybody's going to be coming, talking about their Bigfoot sighting, their experiences. We'll be sharing our tales of the tall, dark, and hairy as well. And it's going to be a great time. The conference and the speakers, they start at 1 o'clock. And I guess you could say the town hall meeting itself goes until about 12:30. So we have a little half-hour intermission before the speaker or the conference actually starts. We're looking at a conference start time, again, at 1 p.m., and probably going until about 8 or 9 or so. Who knows? Who knows how long it's going to go?
Yeah.
And, it's going to be a great time. Then, again, after the conference is all wrapped up, there's going to be time for people to mingle, adult beverages. We are doing something that has taken place at the Ohio Bigfoot Conference, who's put on by my great friend and brother in research, Mark DeWerth out there. Does a great job with that. And I've talked with one of our speakers as well. And Cliff Berrickman is going to be doing Bigfoot trivia. And it was such a great time doing that at the OBC, is what we call it, Ohio Bigfoot Conference last year, that we are going to do that for the MBC, Minnesota Bigfoot Conference this year. And that's going to be a great time. It's always a great time after the conference.
Tons going on.
Yeah.
Tons going on.
Oh, my God.
Now, what's this I hear that someone can get their hands on a one-of-a-kind figurine of the Minnesota Iceman?
So this is true. Now, what was going on is that we had a package deal. But as of right now, we had to discontinue that.
Oh,
but yes,
darn it!
Yes.
I'll hawk mine though. You know, I'll get a bidding war going.
Yeah, and you know, speaking of bidding, we are going to be having auctions going on in between the speakers and stuff like that throughout the conference, hopefully, with all the stuff that has been donated. A lot of cool prints, arts, and stuff like that. So, yeah. But as far as the figurine, yes, you're absolutely right. First ever made in production exclusively for the Minnesota Bigfoot Conference is a 9-inch Minnesota Iceman replica. I don't know how this artist renditioned it, but it's going to be how the artist renditioned it. It's going to be how it is, I guess you could say. I don't know how closely it looks to the Minnesota Iceman. I haven't. Yeah, I don't recall seeing anything yet. So I'm
well, that's on its
really,
way, though.
You know, it is, and you know, the people who have already purchased the 3-day weekend VIP tickets, they have their statue already paid for, and it's already good to go. So that's good to go and good to hear. Other than that, you will have the chance to come and purchase your own Minnesota Iceman through us, and we can get that order in there for you to the artist and take care of you that way.
Very cool, Abe.
That's how that's going to work out. And then Sunday, we are going to do the speaker breakfast Q&A sometime about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, maybe even 9. We'll see how all that pans out. Basically, have breakfast and ask shoot your questions and answers to us as a team and to our speakers as well. And you can't have a conference without the official Conference Bigfoot T-shirt. So we do have that as well. And that link to your shirt should be on our MNBRT.com page. And for more information, visit MNBRT.com or check us out on Facebook at Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team or Minnesota Bigfoot Conference.
Hey, thanks a ton, Abe, for coming on, filling us all in. We got to jet out of here. But again, check that out. That's MNBRT.com. Get all that information, buy your tickets, be a part of this historic event. Very first ever Minnesota Bigfoot Convention.
Absolutely.
Just coming right at you. Grand Rapids, Minnesota, Timberlake Lodge. Abe, I'll catch up to you later, brother.
Squatch on.
That is going to be a huge event over there in Grand Rapids. You're going to want to get in on that. Again, MNBRT.com is the website. Tickets are all available right there. We got lots of stories coming your way. No intermission between this. We got to get to stories, man. We got a lot of them in the old hopper. That's always so much fun. Man, we get so many great stories every week, though. We really do. It's hard to choose. It really is.
Yeah. It is, but you chose some good ones.
I did. Excuse me.
I
know. I know.
That was an awkward pause.
It wasn't. I'm like, what are you talking about? They choose. I don't choose them. They choose me, man. Choose me.
All right. Here we go. All right. Number one. This first one comes from Rhonda. So this is my first time writing the show. What?
I said, Rhonda. Rhonda.
I don't know.
You've never seen the show. Okay, never mind. All right. It's lost on you.
Apparently not. So, yeah, Rhonda. So this is my first time writing the show. Thank you for writing. I'm on my phone, so if there's grammar errors, my bad. Thank you for saying that. Let's start with what I tend to hear. Usually when I'm alone and it's dead at night, I tend to hear either music or children playing outside very loudly. The thing is, I live in a very secluded town up in the mountains where there's curfew and bears. So there should be no reason why I'm hearing these things, especially at 2 a.m. through 4 a.m. My boyfriend made me realize that maybe something is trying to lure me out since this has happened since I was at least 6 years old and when I'm alone. I can't explain it very well, but as a child, I would remember looking out the window and wanting to go outside because I would hear these things, making me feel like my family was outside. But when I would be at the door heading outside, I would feel this terror. And then all of a sudden, the sounds would stop. I would usually run back to my room or where my parents were sleeping and sleep with them. Now that I'm older, once in a while I hear the sounds, and I know I shouldn't look or go outside, but it's so convincing that someone or something is there. Does anyone have a similar experience, or am I crazy? Sorry for the long rant.
Rhonda, you're crazy. No, you're not crazy, Rhonda.
No.
You're not crazy. Okay.
And people do have similar experiences.
They do. A lot of people
Like
have
a lot.
auditory things going on where they hear stuff. Okay. Now, after hearing this, Dina, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think she would be very brave to go outside, just to kind of see if there is something that's calling to her or speaking to her. But I would say if she was going to do that, I would probably have somebody with me, just to see if they're hearing it as well, and to try to decide and see what's going on. I think you almost have to research it to know a little bit. You almost have to dive in to really get a feel for it.
I agree. I think going outside and exploring a little bit, face your fears, as it were, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, within reason, within safety reasons, like having someone with you, or maybe even a dog too with the person. You know, they're great to have with because they hear a lot more stuff than we even do, and they're going to hear it before we do. So I think, Rhonda, you're not the only one, though, and you're definitely not crazy. I've had the similar things happen to me when I've been in the woods. I'm a deer hunter, and man, have I heard some strange noises over the years that made me go, ooh, what was that? But there's usually a rational explanation for what that noise was, generally speaking.
Is it usually music or children playing?
No, but actually some animals, like, I'm not saying this is her case, but it's been my experience, rabbits, oddly enough, sound like a woman's cry.
Yes.
And so that's unnerving me.
I'm glad you actually brought that up, because I had a case where I was called in by a city to investigate a cemetery for them because of all of these claims. It was supposedly one of the most haunted cemeteries in Minnesota. And one of the claims was hearing like children laughing and playing, even though this is out in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And we found out that when raccoons play with each other and kind of scrap with each other, their little chibbering or whatever does sound like children playing.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm almost wondering if maybe, I mean, especially since you're out in the mountains and it's secluded, that maybe there's not a family of raccoons or something that are walking by your house or whatever, and it makes those sounds.
You know, I just came back from the mountainous area. I was out in Deadwood, South Dakota. And when I was out there, one thing I noticed is the overabundance of raccoons these areas have. Oh, my Lord, they're all over the roads. You see them in town, everything else. And so if she is in kind of a mountainous area, that is their habitat. That would make sense in a lot of ways. It could be raccoons. And it's, I don't have any explanation. That she also mentioned music in there. Yeah, she did, didn't she?
Yep.
Yeah. So the music, sometimes, because I swore I've heard music too.
Did I tell you that raccoons also make great a cappella groups?
And they play the banjo, they stomp their feet, and they go, I wrote a song about it. I'm a raccoon, there I am. I'm a raccoon, there I am. That's
you
exactly
can
what they
stop
do.
right now.
I will.
Stop.
I will.
You're embarrassing
That
yourself.
was a raccoon singing, not me. What are you talking about? Get out of here, raccoon!
Well,
Get out of here!
I think
there, it's gone now.
I think that then was the absolute best rendition of a raccoon singing that I could have
Well, it was a
ever
real
heard.
raccoon. It was Robbie, the raccoon. Stopped in.
Robbie the
I'm
raccoon?
sorry. He stopped in and said, hey, man, I want to listen to the show until he booted him out.
Wow.
It's okay. It's okay.
Just wow.
It's okay. It'll be okay. All right, this next one is not for the faint of heart. This one is a little unnerving, if you ask me. Number 2, unless you want to tackle number 2.
I can if you want,
Wow,
but
I can do it. Here we go. Seth writes in, hi, Joel and Mike. In 2006, a husband killed his wife and himself with a shotgun, and that's what I mean. That's the unnerving part. Oh, I feel so bad. Oh. 2 years later, my mother and my 2 brothers moved in that house. Did you know about it before? Okay. We lived in that house for 5 years and did a bunch of demonic rituals and never experienced anything supernatural. But ever since I moved into my own apartment 2 years ago when I was 18, water mysteriously appears in my ashtray from time to time, usually when I wake up in the morning. One time it happened right in front of my eyes, sort of. 1 minute I'm dumping ash in an empty ashtray. Okay. Next minute, it's filled with water. There's not a single article on Google that talks about such such a mystery, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Wow. Okay. Don't do demonic rituals, number 1. Just say no. Just say no. Just you know what? We did a show 2 weeks ago all about that. Go back and listen to that show. You know, you might not want to do that. Just say no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that over, and it was just such a nonchalant.
Yeah, right.
Like, my family moved in there. We lived there for 5 years. We did a bunch of demonic rituals, but you know what? Nothing happened.
Made it sound like a normal Saturday night. It's Easter time, and what do people do?
Okay, so I have 2 things. That I want to say about this.
Oh, Seth, you're a wayward soul.
That's not what it is, but close. So the first thing is that even though you did these demonic rituals, you either A, did them wrong, and you're just a crappy Satanist.
You suck at it, Seth. And you suck at it.
Or 2, any sort of negative or especially demonic type entity doesn't necessarily have to do his thing immediately. They have all the time in the world, and they can come into your life anytime that they want.
Yeah.
So if any sort of negative type entity wanted to wait until you were out on your own, or the first one to leave the nest, so to speak, they can go with you and now start their
and water your ashtray.
And apparently they're not a fan of smoking either. So
it's just the water in the ashtray kind of thing going on. You know,
if they fill up the ashtray, you can't put the ashes in there.
Well, that is true. That is true. But I'm not sure that. Anyhow, I was gonna make a judgment on sobriety, but I won't do that.
The second thing is there are, from what I've heard, I've never encountered one. I only know one person that says they have. There is such a thing as a water poltergeist.
I ran into one, for real.
Okay, now I have two people that I know. That
the room was raining. I thought that they were BSing me. I walk in there like, oh, whatever, room raining. Yeah, I'm sure got a pipe that's sweaty that you're just not noticing, or flat out broken. No, it was like a rainstorm. It was odd. It was odd. The one I called was Dr. Barry Taff to ask him.
Yeah, that's frightening.
Because he's the only other person I ever heard even encounter anything remotely like that. And it was an odd case. Very odd.
I can imagine so. So, I mean, they do exist. So if you want to search Google for an article such as that, I would type in water poltergeist.
But every one of them wasn't targeted like to one area. It was like the room. It was like almost its own weather system was in the room.
Well, maybe he's not that advanced yet.
Maybe.
So, Dina, what do you think?
I think I would be closing the doors on that now rather than later. I mean, if it is perhaps demonic in nature, you're going to want to close that off now versus waiting to see what's going to come next. So that would be my advice.
I would almost want to like sit down and have a beer with any sort of demon that's like, you know what? I'm going to torture this kid, but all I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up his ashtray with water.
Right?
That's going to mess with him.
That's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to make voices. I'm not going to infest him with raccoons. I'm not going to do anything like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up his ashtray with water and just sit back and watch the insanity take over.
That's clever. Like they're getting clever in their old age.
But how boring would that be?
Right.
You know, all right. You know what? I'm a demon. I've lived for 10 millennia. And the best trick I can muster is fill an ashtray of water. I would start questioning my line of work at that point.
No, I don't think he's the most boring. I think he's the most patient.
Yeah.
This is the long game. He's playing the long game.
Yeah, something else that comes back.
But then again, maybe he's tried everything else and nothing works in a moron. I'm not saying Seth's a moron, but maybe he's just subliminally not picking up what's going on unless it has to do with that.
So here is the final moral of the story. Do not do demonic rituals with your family at all.
Could you imagine Christmas time? It's a black Christmas tree. They sit around their pentagram. You know,
rocking around the inverted pentagram.
Chanting the little chants. Hoping to conjure whatever. That's all I want for Christmas is my own demon. My own demon. My own demon. All right, we got to run a break. We'll come back. We'll be right back right after this. I don't even know what I was going with that.
Yeah, that actually.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at Motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey, girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sters. Right along with me is Mr. Michael O'Neill. Yes, that's right. You look excited. See, I have my camera on. Now I can see you. And wow, look at you. You're just rocking out over there.
Who, me?
Yeah. And then we have, of course, Miss Dina Deasy. She's with us, too. How are you? Dreezy. Sorry. Dreezy. Sorry.
Yeah.
How are you doing over there, Dina? You having a good time?
I'm perfect. Thank you.
Good. Appreciate that. All right. We are moving on to Cindy. Cindy writes in. And Mike, what's Cindy got to say to us?
All right. Cindy says, hey, guys, I like the show a lot. Thank you very much. But my favorite hour is hour 1, which is right now.
Right now. Yeah. It comes before 2. So.
You guys give great advice on paranormal problems and do it with humor. Let me just stop right there and say thank you, Cindy, for becoming my new best friend.
You got to have a little humor.
We do.
God,
just because we give great advice on paranormal, and we do it with humor. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Best compliment I've gotten on the show, Joel.
It is. It really is. That'll keep you going for the next month.
As long as I want it to. So she continues on. Well, I'm the one in need of some advice. I'm currently staying in a new house and into my 3rd week here, and some strange things have been happening, and I'm curious to know what other people think. Just now, I was in the kitchen, and my camera lens flew off the kitchen counter with force and almost hit me as I was walking away from that area. I thought maybe I could have somehow knocked it off, so I went back and tried to recreate the action, and there was no way that I could have knocked it off with such force without realizing. It flew 1.5 meters across the kitchen, It's one thing if it had slowly rolled to my feet and it landed at my feet, but it landed at my feet. So it was in the air longer than it was on the floor. Last night, I was also sitting on the couch and felt a strong breeze and high-pitched sound behind my head. Of course, I looked and there was nothing. Getting kind of creeped out now as my dog keeps low growling at things and I can't see, and has gone off her food the past week. I've also woken up with dead spiders in the bed and just wondering if anybody else has experienced anything like this, and if so, what do you do to resolve it?
Okay,
run and never look back.
Call an exterminator.
Yeah, I was going to say, at least they're dead spiders, not alive spiders.
I was going to say, Dina, they're already dead.
Oh, that's right. Okay, but the spider's never dead enough. I'm not a fan.
So you got movement going on. You got and it kind of unnerves. Things are unnerving you, is what it is. So what I would do personally is, being that you're unnerved and things are going on, get a hold of a reputable group too. Have them come in, ones that have a good track record behind them. Just don't get a hold of anyone on Facebook. Get some references. Talk to former clients if you're able to do something like that. And maybe they can help you document this movement, too, that's going on in your house. But I would kind of start there. But you may have some activity maybe on the poltergeist level going on.
I thought about that as well.
So
could even do maybe some, try to get some recordings or some EVPs, too. I mean,
make some contact, maybe. Figure out what it wants if you can. But also do it under the guidance of a good team, though. Someone that can really guide you in that right direction. Because you don't want to open up a can that you might not want opened alone.
Right.
So.
Right, I completely agree with that one. I would not, just for me personally, recommend you grabbing a recorder and start asking questions.
No.
Because if you say the wrong thing, you're just going to make things worse for you. The thing that bothers me is the dog. The fact that he's gone off his food for the last week. Now that usually signals that there's some kind of energy or whatever that is affecting it in a negative way. I honestly, beyond I agree with Joel. Obviously, search for a reputable team to help you out with this. But if for whatever reason you live in an area that doesn't really have a team, or you can't find one that actually looks decent enough to be able to help you, I would almost try taking back your home. Like just being like, look, I know you're here. Leave me the F alone. This is my house. If you want to stay here, fine, but you leave me and my dog alone.
Yeah. Personal empowerment, doing it yourself. There's nothing wrong with that either, within reason. As long as you don't make it worse. But the thing of it is, all the listeners out there listening right now, if you cannot find a group in your area, get a hold of us. We're going to direct you. We know a lot of people, a lot of groups. And so sometimes we can help you out there because, they're not exactly in the yellow pages under 1-800-GHOST.
Well, that's not enough numbers. But
Yet. They're not in the yellow pages yet.
No, but you said 1-800-GHOST. That's not enough numbers.
No, that isn't. But, it's a kind of a Ghostbusters reference. Okay.
I understand. So, but
tough room.
But yeah, I just want to expand a little bit on contacting us, or even if you do find a team, if maybe you don't know if they're good or not, you can contact Joel and myself, and we can take a look at them.
Yeah, not a problem. We know a lot of them. So
yeah,
go ahead.
And I have fairly high standards. So like if I see a bunch of douchebags with their hat backwards, standing together in a cemetery, I would not call those people.
I got a story about, and I won't mention names, just a really quick story. I went to a state that rhymes with, it's synonymous with cheese. Wisconsin.
That would be Wisconsin. I'm not going to tell you the state.
I know, but I can't. Wisconsin. I have to. There's just no other way around it. I went to Wisconsin, and I met up with this group. And they all show up in their vehicles. They're all painted with their logos, and they show up like the A-team. They stop. They all pile out of their panel vans, and every single one of them could be a Jason Hawes stand-in, like a stunt double, right? Every single one of them. It was like the official look of that team.
That's amazing.
It was unnerving, is what it was. I'm like, whoa, you guys all look like your heroes, huh? Yeah, Jason's the man. I'm like, oh.
They travel around looking for Jason Hawes lookalike contests, and when they're not doing that, they're investigating the paranormal.
They recruit them, or they stop at Hair Club for Men. They find the ones that have clearly failed at the club. You want to be in a club that really matters? Come with us.
Yeah. And you don't really have to have any sort of passion for the paranormal. You just have to have a bald head and a big goatee.
Yes, that's really the only.
That's the only requirement.
But these people
be on this team will
train. Now, looks aside, because we're investigating this. I'll tell you where off air. I was going with them, and it's fairly famous Wisconsin haunt. So I am there with them, and they didn't know anything about the paranormal, like nothing,
No.
like nothing.
That's like 40% of the teams out there.
It was like what are you guys doing? Yeah, man, don't you know? This is the best way to do this. And they were just doing stupid things like screaming during EVP work, like screaming. Because they saw someone on Travel Channel do that. We're provoking names. And I'm like, what are you people doing? We're screaming!
Oh,
we're screaming! That's what it looked like.
Why are you screaming? Because ghosts can't hear! That's exactly what they told me.
And how effective was that?
It was horribly effective. I left.
That was the effect.
I'm like, all right, guys, you get eaten up by these mosquitoes. I may go home. See you guys later. So that was the extent of my Jason Hawes dance crew when they came dancing out of their A-Team like van. I'm surprised there wasn't anyone saying, "I pity the fool that doesn't like Jason Hawes," but there wasn't. Jesus. So anyhow, we're gonna move on. Robert writes in, I live in a suburban part of my town, just by the upper middle class folks. Wait a minute. There's a guy that I know on this radio show that kind of lives in the same situation you do. Every time I go walking at night, I hear the sound of a person screaming bloody murder. It could be the Jason Hawes dance crew. Who knows? In the distance, like genuinely horrified screams. Ah! I'm doing that for effect. I don't want to jump the gun, but we don't have many wooded areas around, so I don't know if it's an animal or people. If I walk through the park by my house at night, I get physically ill and feel like something is nearby, like something is watching. Not to sound cliche, he says in little parentheses. There's also a blank ton of owls around, so maybe it's them. Either way, it's hella creepy.
You know what's hella creepy, Joel, is Dina was supposed to read that.
Were you really? Dina?
Yeah.
But it's okay. I'll give you a pass.
Oh, man. I'm so sorry. I'm just so sorry.
She's got the next one.
I just feel bad for her right now. She's never going to want to do radio again.
God. Could be. You don't know.
Who knows?
Hey, if that's the worst thing that happens to me today, I'm good.
Well, then, you
in the grand scheme of things, that is a great way of looking at it.
You just wait till hour 2.
Dina, what do you think about this one?
I don't know what to think, really. I mean, I don't know where the screams are coming from or what they are. I mean, I agree that it's creepy. And, I think if you have a feeling that something isn't right, a lot of times, you should follow your gut. So
I think this is a case of Occam's razor.
Why?
The most obvious answer is usually the correct one. You said you have owls. Owls scream really when they get going.
Yeah.
They can scream, let me tell you. You know, they're not always these nice little things going, ho, 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 ho. Sometimes they're like demonic ass. they sound like demonic mean things that are coming to get you. I'm telling you. See, I'm kind of passionate because I'm afraid of birds. And there's a whole story about that, by the way. So.
Which we're not going to hear.
No, you're not going to hear it. No, I've already told it a million times on the show about the bird that swore at me while it beat me up.
I can see that.
It did. It did.
So you didn't watch the birds when you were growing up then?
Oh, no. It was after the birds. See, I watched when I was young, and that didn't bother me. No, this is a real thing that happened to me.
Oh.
Oscar the parrot decided he was going to take his revenge out on me, so.
You shouldn't have been torturing him.
I did. I'm not going to tell the story. You told me I can't tell the story, so I won't.
No, you can't. So, yeah, I mean, I would probably say that the screams are probably the owls. The thing that I would about the physically ill and feeling like somebody, I mean, that seems to be
nerves.
I would say more indicative of EMF, high EMF. You know, the feeling of nausea, the paranoia, that kind of thing.
Paranoia will destroy you.
I mean, especially if it's pretty much like at the same area, same place, then that would just kind of lead me to believe that there's something natural that is, sitting right there that is making you feel that way, and it's not paranormal. I think you're the victim of EMF and owls.
More than likely. More than likely. For sure the owls.
Yeah.
Or a nervous stomach.
Which, again, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a bad thing to be a victim of.
No. Everyone likes a nice set of hooters. What? They're owls.
Right.
I know. The double entendre was phenomenal.
I know. The 90s are back, evidently. Not because I used a really old reference.
Yes, you did. But I've been watching Married with Children lately, so it's more recent for me.
Yes. I noticed the look of defeat in your eyes. I could tell you've been watching that show.
Al Bundy is a hero of mine.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I actually in high school did have my own chapter of No Man.
Did you score 4 touchdowns in one game?
No, I was I was on the line. I wasn't allowed to score with anything
ever. Like not even off the field.
No. It transferred everywhere I went. So moving on from my awful childhood. Number 5, Dina, take it away.
All right. So this one comes to us from Beth. So Beth says, so lately I've been experiencing a lot of weird things while sleeping. It's like my dreams are turning into reality, like they are coming through to the real world. An example is one that happened back in May when I had a nightmare. I remember waking up to my whole room gray and weird vines hanging down everywhere all around me. I knew I was awake because I was able to touch and feel everything like normal. What made it even more scarier is that I always sleep with a lamp on, and even the light was gray. I remember going into the corner of my room, closing my eyes shut as I felt the vines near me. Everything stopped when my mom came into the room, and everything went back to normal. Other occurrences are when I'm waking up and seeing a spider over me directly in front of my face. It's not like sleep paralysis because I'm able to move, but I'm always seeing it climb up toward the ceiling. As if I grab my phone to turn on the light, it disappears. I feel like I'm going crazy and I don't know what to do.
Wow.
What do you think?
Well, what I think is, I'm kind of wondering if maybe she's having these dreams. Maybe they're coming through as some type of a message to her. But I'm wondering if for some reason she's feeling trapped somehow or involved in something she doesn't want to be involved in. Because you think about the correlation between the vines, right? And the vines coming down and kind of feeling like maybe the vines are coming toward her. And then also with a spider, spiders have webs. So I guess I'm just thinking of the correlation between the two, and maybe there's something going on in her life that is making her feel trapped or confined. And maybe the dreams are coming out showing her that, or to help her to realize that so that she can take some type of action.
Yeah, I can see where you'd say that, because the dreams, it's definitely confining, holding her down. There's something going on during the day maybe that she's wrestling with in her mind at night, and it's representing that. But why would the gray be there? I wonder why that's there, though. Wonder what that represents.
Maybe she's a fan of black and white movies.
Maybe she is. Who knows? Who knows, Beth?
Or maybe it could be just like the uncertainty or the in-between of making a decision. It's not black, it's not white, it's the in-between.
Because gray is always indicative, I shouldn't say always, but a lot of times indicative of oppression. Yeah. Because, you look at the gray sky, what do you think right away? Ugh. So, that might go hand in hand with the vines.
I think sweet, it might snore. That's what I think when I see gray clouds.
Well, yeah, that too. Yes. It very well could be. Who knows? But a great analysis. You know what? We should, she was better at that than we are, Mike.
It's my head.
I haven't given my synopsis yet.
So, Dina, you've never done radio before. Would you like a job in radio? Mike, see you later. See you. No, I'm kidding.
I know it's been a good run, Joel.
I'm kidding, of course.
No, I'm being replaced by...
What I'm saying is she did a very good job. Thank you, Dina. That was a very good analysis.
Here, I appreciate it.
Yeah. The only thing that I would add, and who knows if it's true or not, or if it's the case or not, I should say, is that, and I know, Joe, you're going to hate me for this, but shadow people will sometimes...
Shadow people. That's all I ever hear about, shadow people.
I know, but they're very prevalent now, especially nowadays.
They are.
But
and,
they really, really like to show up, especially as... because they can shapeshift.
The Hat Man loves spiders, by the way. If you were talking
about... I mean, the Hat Man is always the Hat Man, but it's the shadow, it's minions or whatever you want to call them, that will turn into whatever animal, especially a spider, they think will scare you the most. Yeah. My question would be, does it look like a spider, as in like the little hairs and you can see his little eyes, or is it all black?
Yeah, like a shadow spider.
A shadow spider, exactly. Because you didn't really describe the spider. She said she saw a spider. So I would like to know that. And
but spiders can also mean trap too, by the way, because the webs.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So are we also kind of saying then that she's still dreaming? Because these are all metaphorical stuff that people see in their dreams, which she's saying she sees while she's quote unquote awake. So are we saying she's probably still asleep and only thinks she's awake?
Some people have those. Go ahead. All right, go ahead, Dina.
I was just going to say, I think it's a sleep-like state. So, she may be partially awake, but more asleep, if that makes any sense.
It could be a classic case of waking dream.
Yes.
Maybe. Look into it, Beth.
Yeah, definitely. Get back to us, Beth. We'd like to know your thoughts. And if we hit the nail on the head, or if you need further analysis, we're here for you. So you know the email, afterhoursam@gmail.com. Each and every one of you can email us up. All the listeners, you're welcome to do so, as you so frequently do. And I got to field just one really quick message. We cannot physically answer all of the emails that we get. We get about 500 to 800 emails a week with stories. We're blessed in them, but the problem is we can only do so many every week. So now we do try to get to them eventually. There is a backlog. I don't throw any of these things away. I do go through them. I do try to get everyone heard. Just be patient. We'll get to you. Not a problem. We'll definitely do that. So we love you all. We're not going to forget about you. So moving along, we got Ken. Who wants to read Ken? I think that would be Mike's job.
I can do it.
All right.
Okay. This one comes from Ken. Okay, Joel and Mike. I live in an apartment in Italy. I sometimes see weird reflections on windows. I am also hearing weird noises that cannot be made by a machine or human. I don't have any evidence, but if someone does want it, I'll try and get some. Now on to the question, if my apartment is haunted, how should I fix it?
Well, we kind of gave some really same advice I give other people. Be cautious. Look into it deeper, cautiously. Don't just jump into it. Maybe get a hold of a team. I do know a couple teams that do hail from your neck of the woods from over the years when we've done international radio, that if you're interested in having a hard time, because I would assume, judging by your email, you're an American living in Italy. I'm assuming. I could be wrong. And because there's not a lot of Italian men there named Ken running around Italy. Sure. So if that's the case, I'll give you a hand finding a good group. But I would start there. What do you think, Mike? Start with a good group, because he's going to have to collect some evidence. That's the thing. He doesn't have any evidence. He's hearing it going on. But I think some good direction and outset would be really good.
Yeah. The only thing that I have questions on is every time he sees a reflection in the windows, I'm assuming that they are of humans. Of people, are they all different people? And if so, he may have some sort of an ability where a team isn't going to be able to necessarily fix it for him as much as they would have to help him in order to not only control it, but accept it.
Yeah, see, I was thinking more of the machinery noise, getting that audio on tape for him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the weird noises that cannot be made by a machine?
Yeah. Yeah, that cannot be made by a machine.
I don't know. We're pretty good at machinery.
We are. There, I just did it.
I can download an app that has like 100 different styles of farts right now.
Right. Well, that is a good use of bandwidth right there.
I'm just saying, machines can make a lot of noises.
They can. They can, and they do. Beth, or not Beth. Now I want to call you Beth because of Beth, the email. She's on my mind with unraveling what she was talking about. Dina, what do you think?
I guess I'm just kind of curious, like how long it's been going on. Did it say in the email, and maybe I missed it, or?
He just said he lives in Italy.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I think really it is just about kind of collecting some more evidence. Maybe trying to take pictures, like, throughout the apartment as well to see if he sees anything, and trying to decide if it's actually something maybe like another person through the window, or something in his apartment that could be making that appear that way. I think it's down to like collecting some additional evidence, doing some research, and going from there.
I think you're right. Spot on. Again.
Yay.
2 out of 2.
No, we're good.
We are good. Well, we know this is the part of the hour that we tap dance for 2 minutes before we have to go to break.
Which means
we know exactly what this means.
We know exactly what this means. It's time to bring up Minnesota Para-Unity.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. You have 1 minute. 1 minute exactly.
That's fine. So as of right now, the Para-Unity Convention in Duluth, Minnesota, is still on, even though there's obviously going to be a lot of safety precautions put in to keep everyone safe during this pandemic. So if you want to still come and get your tickets, mnparacon.com. Right now, any order that comes in, they will be put into a drawing for a spirit art with the great Chris Fleming, who is coming up here in a couple minutes. And that's going to be a phenomenal thing to win, that's for sure.
Check it all out, mnparacon.com for all the details. Buy your tickets. Any questions, you can get a hold of Mike right through the website, or you can find him on Facebook, of course, Odyssey Events. Find him that way. He's everywhere, wherever. Right. Actually, the easiest way would be the website, right? Would that be the most direct way? If there's a
to get a hold of me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So stick with the website.
You can contact me for that.
Exactly. We got to run. We'll be right back. Coming up, Mr. Chris Fleming will be on the show. Don't go anywhere. Be right back right after this.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey, girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is Mr. Michael O'Neill. And tonight we have the special guest co-host, Dina, as you heard the first hour. Doing a great job, by the way. It's like you're a natural, Dina. You're missing your calling.
Woohoo!
You really did a great job. Tonight we have, actually, he's never been on this show. We did play phone tag back when he was doing Dead Famous. We just never was able to make anything hook up, and that's Mr. Chris Fleming. He's finally come on to After Hours AM. This show's been around forever and ever and ever, and the list is so small. I think you're only one or three of people that have not been on the show yet, so we're knocking something off the list, Chris. Thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome. It could go all the way.
It might go all the way.
That's actually football, but anyway.
Love me some football.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you again for
Absolutely.
coming on.
So
yeah, go ahead, Mike. You're going to
saying-
unfurl this whole thing. Go ahead. Get her done.
I was going to say, because, Chris, you were hand-selected by Dina. Joel and I are going to...
Was there actually a drawing?
Yeah.
There was
I
a
drew.
drawing.
She won, and they got to pick their choice, and choice number 1 was you.
And again,
that's so nice. Aw.
Dina, I don't want to add any pressure, but your broadcast is at 400 radio stations right now.
Yeah.
Over 2 million listeners.
Awesome.
So make the interview
Worldwide.
really good. Worldwide. Actually, in the UK, they love us in the UK, which is great because it just expanded through iHeartRadio to the UK as well. So iHeart UK over there. So hi, guys.
Boom, boom.
Exactly.
So Joel and I are going to take the back seat here, and we are going to let you guys just chit-chat for an hour.
This is great. I always get to talk to men on these shows. It's nice to have a woman asking me questions. This is cool.
Yeah, this is wonderful. Well, thank you, everybody. So I was thinking that we could start off, Chris, just by having you talk a little bit about who you are and what you do for any listeners that maybe don't know.
Okay. My name is Sean Connery, and I've been on a bunch of James Bond films.
And The Rock.
No, that's completely
You don't
wrong.
realize, just so everybody knows, I had a little minor surgery thing today, and
He's a little loopy.
a little loopy. I mean, but they didn't give me any narcotics and stuff because it's dealing with a lot of pain. They had to inject a needle in the back of my neck, but I just woke up from a nap about a half hour ago. So if you've ever had that nap, where you're kind of in that euphoric stage of wow, what time is it? Where am I? That's how I am. So you guys have that today, which is awesome because we're gonna have fun.
We are.
So what was your question?
that does not involve impersonating, horribly, I might add, a wonderful actor.
Sean Connery.
So I think we're just going to start off.
Well, I think we have a problem here.
We do.
If you go this way, you have to go that way.
So we're going to start off just with having you tell us a little bit about yourself, Chris, and what you do, how you're connected to the paranormal.
Okay. Well, when we say connected to the paranormal, I've done so many different things in my life. I guess it's at the viewpoint of how people actually see me and view me. A lot of people know me from being on various TV shows. Some people watched Dead Famous. Some may know me from Psychic Kids. Some may know me from, being on Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, and certain guest appearances, as well as new fans getting to know me from Help My House is Haunted in the UK. But that's just TV. I mean, that's just things that I've been doing my whole life gave me that opportunity to go onto a TV program because I used to do consulting for some specials and Hollywood stuff back in the early 2000s, late 90s. I used to publish a magazine in the 90s called Unknown Magazine. People that have real experience of strange, unusual phenomenon, because the reason why I did that magazine was I grew up in a haunted house. A lot of people say that, but I've had numerous experiences in that house, also collective experiences. We had demonic experiences. There's even stories I have not spoken about yet, but I was talking about somebody today because I do eventually want to publish it as a book. Those particular experiences that I've never gone public with, but I have evidence to support it. So there's a lot of different things that I've gone through my entire life, as well as friends of mine that have grown up that had these collective experiences with me, that when it got into the 90s and I was working at a mortgage company, and this mortgage company in Chicago was at Six Corners, we had such a unique group of loan officers. Every person was like from a different country. And we had someone from Africa, we had someone from Asia, we had someone from the Middle East, and our boss was Palestinian. So it was like just this big melting pot. And one night we were sitting there eating pizza after hours, and someone says that they saw a ghost the night before. And so my ears go boing, like what? And they start talking about what appeared to them at the edge of the bed. Next thing you know, everybody was telling a story. I hadn't said a word. And I'm listening going, oh, my God, you mean this goes on all over the world, that people have had all these different types of experiences? Because remember, internet was just kind of new in the mid-'90s, right? We didn't know about all these things. We read about them in magazines and stuff, maybe some TV shows, but you didn't have that direct connection across the world. So here was all these individuals telling their stories, and I didn't say a word because I wanted to hear what they had to say. Then I started researching other magazines that were out there, and I thought about doing a newsletter. My buddy talked me into doing a magazine. Next thing you know, I was publishing a magazine. The reason I did the magazine was, one, I was going to tell some of my stories, but then also give these people and other people around the world the opportunity to tell their stories, whether it was Bigfoot, UFOs, aliens, out-of-body experiences, conspiracies, you name it. So I did that for about 4 or 5 years. And believe it or not, that really got me out there publicly because there was newspapers that were doing articles on me. I was on talk shows, radio shows. I was doing about 100 radio shows a year. And it was to talk about the magazine, share my stories, and then share some of these other people that were in the magazine. Because of that, I got involved in TV. And Dead Famous, the producer, they found out about my magazine in the UK and called me in 2003. And that's how that got started. But for people to understand is I grew up seeing ghosts, having dreams that come true, extrasensory perception, going back to when I was 3 years old, and then started seeing a lot of ghosts that started happening between the ages of 5 and 7. So for me, I've got the whole spectrum of the mediumship, extrasensory perception, dreams that come true, visions, as well as the ghosts. And I used to kind of combine the two, trying to communicate with these spirits along the way. So that's my background. I mean, there's other stuff I've done in this world. I was a mortgage broker 13 years. I was a graphic designer for 10 years. I got a degree in fine art, minor in psychology. I was going to go into psychology, but honestly, I was worried when I was in college that, people's problems, because I was all over the place. I was still going through puberty and everything in high school, college, trying to figure out who I was. To hear people's stories, I'm like, I'm going to absorb their stories and I'm going to get all those emotions from them. I didn't want that. So I actually, like my sophomore, junior year, I just kind of started to stray away from psychology and say, I'm not going to complete my degree in it because I don't see myself wanting to do it. And then yet here I am now. I've been consulting now for over 14 years for people all over the world, people either face to face, over the phone, whatever. And it just keeps growing. And I'm like, God, I should have got that degree.
Exactly.
Well, it could be worse. You could work in radio.
Well, there's nothing wrong with radio.
That's always the joke. That's the long-running radio joke is, at least I'm in radio.
We get to read people's stories.
Well, I do my podcast, so I interview a lot of people. That's going on, 12 years now? 15 years now. Jeez. So
that's a hell of a gap there, Chris. 12 to 15.
Well, I had to do the numbers. I started 2006, so it's 14. We'll be going on 15. Yeah.
You still over there at Planet Paranormal, the podcast, or did you move it?
Yeah.
Bob Davis.
Yeah.
We're over there. Oh, yeah. Been there about 20 years now or something like that.
I think my first one I recorded in the Queen Mary.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like we used to have a little studio in the Queen Mary.
Yeah,
and I recorded some of my podcasts.
I was in that studio because I went with Bob Davis up there to do an event with him where I was stuck on the Queen Mary. I thought, oh, man, I'd be stuck on the ship. Damn it. Actually, it was a lot of fun. I'd go back in a heartbeat.
My favorite
place.
Favorite place.
Love it.
Yeah, wonderful place.
Never been there.
Your magazine, by the way.
What? Mike, you were never there?
No, Chris, I was never there.
Mike, you got to go to the Queen Mary, man.
It is
it's in my top 10.
Yeah, get a hold of Bob. Bob is kind of like the guy over there, though. Bob Davis is one of them. Yeah, get in with him and you'll get on the Queen Mary. Unknown Magazine, I'm glad you mentioned that because back when I was at a radio station in Texas doing an all-night talk radio thing, kind of like a coast-to-coast AM trying to compete.
Yeah.
We had 3 magazines on the table all the time, Your Spate Magazine and UFO Magazine. Always sitting there on the copy table looking for things to talk about, different things to discuss in that night's radio show. Usually Phyllis Galdi would get a hold of me and say, we got to talk about Fate. Tell them all about Fate Magazine. So we were really tied with them. And then, of course, your magazine, UFO Magazine, was also a good influence, too. So
I read all those. Growing up, I used to read the Fate Magazine because my mom did. When having stuff happen, you always wanted to find articles similar to your own experiences. But I was fascinated by Fate growing up as a kid, and then UFO magazine. Bill, William, what he did was a great job.
Yep.
So I subscribed to both of them. I loved those magazines.
Yeah, I want to thank you for putting that mag out. I didn't even know that was. Well, I knew it was you, but I'd forgotten it was you.
Yeah,
that was the guy behind it. So
I only did it for a few years, from 2000. Was it 96 to 2000, 2001, whatever it was?
Yeah.
The reason being, it was really tough. I didn't have the staff. It was just me putting everything together. I had some writers that when I would get someone's stories, I was one of the first person.
Mm-hmm.
And if it needed to be restructured grammar-wise, because I got some, I was like, oh my God, I can't publish this. It's just poorly written.
So
they would just they would. I would get stuff handwritten, so they would type it up and they would just correct the grammar so it'd be suitable. Send me the text copy and I could drop it in. But I had to lay out that magazine, and it was like 180 hours. It was tough.
Would you say that would be easier today to do with email? Because back then, the internet was still kind of this infant thing, and maybe 10% of the population had internet, and you're getting the handwritten. Maybe today, would you think it'd be easier to do something like that today, or even possible?
I would never go back and publish a magazine again. It was one of the hardest things I think I ever had to do. And at the time, I had to give up a lot. And I was in the mortgage business, and I wasn't producing 100% commission. And then we all know, 2000, 2001, the industry got really, really busy. House sales, everything. So it was like, do I want to do this that's making no money? I'm losing money. Even though I love doing it, I'm frustrated. Or do I want to go do this because this is a great opportunity? So I ditched the magazine, said I got to go do the mortgage business.
Yeah, and the mortgage business. When did you bail out of that before 2008? The big bubble?
I bailed out in 2010. I didn't do much at all, 2009 or 10. I mean, I closed maybe 2 loans. That's it.
Yeah.
Usually there was anywhere between 5 to 15 or 12 a month. But I wasn't doing anything because I was traveling speaking at colleges and universities.
Seems like when I was reading your bio, you really reinvented yourself right in the middle of a career. Mm-hmm. That must have been kind of rough to just stop being in the mortgage world, where your comfort zone had to have been at that point.
Well, see, here's what it is. I'll explain it to you. It was 2003. I got an email from a producer in the UK saying, hey, we got this show. We're interested. And I got a lot of pitches when I was doing my magazine in 99 and 2000. I said, and I just wasted so much time with a lot of these people. They never did anything. So I said, no, I'm not interested in TV. I don't want to be on TV. I'm in the mortgage business. I'm doing well, making money. It's fine. And so I ignored it. Then I got a voicemail at home. I ignored it. And then a month and a half went by, and I'm sitting in my office, and our one receptionist comes up, Chris, you got a phone call from the UK. I go, what? We don't do loans in the UK. She's like, I know. She goes, but they said they've been trying to get a hold of you. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I wonder if it's related to. So anyway, I get the call. She's giving me this pitch. Do you still do this? You haven't returned any of my calls? I said, well, yeah, I really wasn't interested. And I'm not interested. She goes, well, can I at least show it to you? Because we may be able to get this green lit, and we really want you to be a part of it. I'm like, all right, just email it over. She emails it over, and I realized, wow, this is legit. This is really So I remember asking everybody in the office. They're coming around. We're reading this thing, and then I called my mom, and I said, Mom, I got to tell you this. They're in the UK, and my mom used to work for the airlines, TWA. She flew international. She used to go to London all the time. Okay. All the time she was in England, and I went about 7 trips with her. Now, I hadn't been to England since 1985, I think it was, or 86, probably 85, 84. So my mom's like, why don't you just do it? You get a free trip. You go out there for a couple days, just have fun, and just come back. I said, you know what? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, what's the worst that's going to happen? Yeah, I mean, it's either not going to work out and you'll be right in the same boat you are, or it's going to work out phenomenally.
Free trip to go to the UK.
Yeah, exactly. Like a radio here. I started at 16. It was not supposed to be forever. I tried different careers, but it pulls you right back in. And that's how that works. Kind of like the radio business and the TV business are very. If they don't like you, they let you know almost immediately, and
you're the Al Bundy of radio.
Exactly. So it's
just
a very
as
competitive
a summer job. That's
I guess the question in a roundabout way is, how have you stayed relevant as long as you have in paranormal programming? Because I've noticed a big carousel of talent in paranormal programming. You don't get a lot of long term, except for the tap
I've always had
guys.
experiences. I've always had experiences. And when I was doing the show, we got green lit, everything. And my boss is like, how much you getting paid doing this show? I said, well, I'm only getting like $1,000 an episode, And he's like, Chris, you make more than that in a week and this and that. And he's going through the numbers and showing me. He goes, if you weren't doing that, you'd be hitting 250, 300,000. I wouldn't doubt you'd be making 400,000 a year. Okay. And I was breaking six figures, which was good, in the mortgage business. And he's like, why are you doing this? You're not making any money doing this. I said, you don't understand, Andrew. I said, I've lived this, okay? And there's something like I have some unanswered questions and I need to pursue this. And that's why I was doing it.
Did you have a moment where did you have a moment? Oh, I'm sorry about that, Dina. But did you ever have a moment where money be damned then? Money didn't matter as long as you were getting your story out and you were connecting with people that were living
absolutely.
what you
Well, that was the thing. I mean, I sacrificed, about $100,000 in what I would have made doing mortgages, because I was always out of town traveling, going to Los Angeles and everything. It was hard to keep up. And I lost a lot of deals because then all of my friends started getting in the business and they were saying, oh, he's in the UK filming. He's going to be gone for. I never was in the UK filming. I was always in Los Angeles, New York, or whatever. But they would say that to get my deal because, hey, he's not even around. So why even bother going with him? It was really cutthroat. I was really upset. I lost a couple friends over it. But the thing is I had to do this. And the experiences we were having was just like, oh my, and I wasn't afraid anymore. That's the thing. I mean, I was a little startled at times and scared because, it's normal. You're human. But the fact of the matter is that these experiences that I was having, this is like, it's priceless. I mean, you can't put money on that. Because you can't buy to have a ghost experience. You can have a ghost hunt or whatever, but you're not guaranteed to have an experience. Here's a dream I always had, going to the most haunted places in America, and they were paying for me to go there. Okay, they were paying for the hotel, they're paying for the trip, they were getting us in there, which there's no other way I would ever get in there. So that was the way I looked at it.
Yeah.
And when it was done, I was just kept doing the mortgages. And next thing you know, I spoke at Penn State during UNIVCON. And an agency saw me speak and they said, we'd like to hire you to speak at colleges. I'm like, okay. Next thing you know, I was doing like 20 colleges a year. So we're going into, the market started crashing 2008. I started seeing my income from the mortgage business declining about 2007, 2008. And then 2008 was terrible, 2009. But it was okay because I was doing 25, 30 lectures a year and getting paid really well for that. And I enjoyed speaking about something I knew so well.
Did you know in the back of your head it was time to bail out of the mortgage business with the 2008 looming? I mean, did you kind of know before it happened? Did you kind of start putting yourself in a position to have something back up?
In 2006, I bought a brand new house, which I'm still in now. I've been here 14 years. And about a month before the closing, I was driving up and a voice says, get out. Everything's going to change. Like, what do you mean get out? And he says, just don't buy the house. Bail. And I'm like, okay, then I would. I remember calling my mom because I live close to my mom and she really wanted me to live here. It's about 20 minutes away. I told her and she talked me out of it. And I was going to bail. And I was going to lose $14,000 on the deposit and stuff like that. But at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to bail. Yeah. Well, of course, by 2006, we start seeing things happening. The end of 2006 in the industry. Some of the programs start changing and they're harder to get some deals closed. The real estate market, the values are starting to be affected. And then my boss was like, you know what, just dump your house, just get out, get out. And I said, no, I'm going to lose 15, 20, no. And I just decided to stay, And then when the business wasn't really doing anything, 2009, 2010, we got sold to another company. We merged, so we're in a different office. I didn't like the office. I didn't like the rules they had because I liked to do whatever I wanted to do. And I said, this is too corporate for me now. I don't want to be corporate. And I was making nothing, and I didn't want to put in effort. Plus, I got in a car accident. So because of the car accident, I was just in a lot of pain. I said, I can't do these multitasking things. So I quit. I remember I went to see my boss, and I said, Bob and, Andrew, I said, I want to leave. They're like, what? I said, listen, you see my productivity go down the last couple of years, and especially in the last year. I used to be in the top 4, top 5, and now I've gone down because I'm doing all these other things. But then also I got in this car accident. I can't do all this stuff. I have to leave because right now what I'm doing here, I need all my time and energy to support, to speaking and everything. That's paying enough for me to survive. It's not as much as I made before, but I really like doing this. I've lost the interest of the mortgage business. I just don't feel the passion anymore.
Yeah, well, without passion, there's no drive anyway. So,
as everybody knows, I'm very passionate about what I do in this field.
Exactly. Yes. And I was going to switch gears on you a little bit. I'll hand you back to Dina here in a second. But can you tell us, Chris, and this might, Europa. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
It's in
I want
it's
to
in
add
your
one
bio.
more thing, and this is important that people realize. The market changed, and one of my good friends started doing loan modifications. Okay, he started doing that in 2009, 2010. He offered me a job in 2011, $5,000 a year. I turned it down because I said it's not about the money anymore. Because I had this out-of-body experience in 2010, and I came back, and I have to help people, and I got to do all these things. It ain't about the money anymore. I know God's going to provide for me in some way. I have this mission that I have to do this, and I'm still trying to figure myself out what this mission is. And if I go back into that world of doing that, I can't do this stuff anymore.
It's a soul-sucking world, finance.
Well, no, but here's the thing is, though, what I do today with consulting people, that's what I did with people when I sat down. I got to know my clients. They invited me over for dinner. I would actually even do nonchalant readings for them. I remember we were doing contracts, and I'm looking at her husband. I go, you don't feel comfortable about signing this right now. And he looks at me. I go, you're really upset about, you think that I'm going to try to screw you in the closing costs or something like that? And he goes, yeah. I said, listen, I'm not, man. Here is what the costs are. Okay, I'll give you a copy of this. I'll go to closing or whatever, and you can double check. That's not going to happen. And he's like, you know what? I'm shocked that you brought that up, but that was the only thing bothering me from moving forward. So thank you. So I would notice these things, and I used to tell my one boss, I said, did you double check this? Like, Chris, everything's fine. I said, no, I have a feeling there's going to be a problem at closing, and it always happened. Every time I had that feeling there was a problem at closing, there was a problem at closing. So my abilities were working very well. And there's something I can't say something, but I knew something was going on in one of the companies that wasn't good, and I got pulled into an office and said, "Stop bringing this up." Blah blah blah. That's not going on. We found out years later it was, and it was illegal. Yeah. And I knew this company was doing that, and everybody's like, "No, you're crazy."
They wanted you to shut your mouth and do your job.
No, they didn't. They didn't even know.
Really, they had no inkling.
They had no inkling until later on. So my ability came into play also in the mortgages, and I established great connections with my clients. And I wanted to make sure that this is a scary moment when you buy a house, this and then. I wanted them to be fulfilled. So it was that type of thing. I've always had everything that I've done. I've always had great rapport with my clients. So that was good. But you want to talk about the Europa. The Europa is interesting because there's two parts to that. And this is something I've been discussing the past couple of years that's got me a little bit concerned. One of the revelations from doing the Ouija board. Just so everybody understands, when you grow up in a haunted house, you're having all these things happen. Your mom comes home from a trip. She goes, that's it. We got to figure out why these ghosts are here. So I'm between the ages of like 5 to 9. These were the years that we were really doing the Ouija board a lot, all the way up to like 11. My mom gets a Ouija board because she used to use one when she was younger. So we started talking to the spirits in the house, finding out why they're there. We started talking to relatives that have passed away, any other spirits that wanted to talk to us. The sad thing is we were opening up doors too. We talked to anybody, and things got bad and crazy, and we don't have time to go in all that. But I was also fascinated because I built a relationship with some of these spirits. One of them, his name was Henry, and he had appeared to me a few times, and we had spoken on the Ouija board, and he told me some amazing things. But I remember asking the spirits, I said, because I'd seen the movie Close Encounters, and so it must have been 76, 77. I said, the Ouija board, is there aliens out there? Are they real, this and that? And they said, yes. I said, are there any aliens in our solar system? He said, no. I said, no. And I said, well, is there any life form or anything? He says, yes. And then it said that there was life, there was a bacteria and plant on Europa. And I go, what the hell is Europa? There's no planet named Europa. And next thing you know, it starts doing this, going off the board, pointing and pointing. I go, what are you pointing at? What are you pointing at? And then it spells out blue. And I go, oh, my God, we got our blue Encyclopedia Britannicas, right?
Yep.
So I go over to the thing and I look up Europa. Holy cow, it's a moon, right? So I'm looking at it. It's a moon in our solar system, one of the planets, and I'm looking at this going, so you're talking about there's life on this moon. So I used to tell my friends about it. I talked about it in radio shows. And then I remember in the 90s when I had an apartment in Barrington Lakes, it would have been the mid-90s. I was doing laundry, and I was on CNN or one of the stations, and they said, scientists may believe that there may be life on Europa. And I raced to the TV. What?
Is that when you had your holy crap moment, though, where that was just, whoa.
Yes. It's like over 20 years later, right? I'm like, what? And I'm watching this, and back then, you didn't have cell phones to record video or anything, so it's not like I could have recorded it or, or searched for it, try to find it later.
Yeah, there was no Google at that point.
Yeah, it was fascinating. So
I found that fascinating. I was reading your bio, and our fellow radio host said, "Hey, ask him about Europa when he's on your show." And it's kind of a fascinating thing when he kind of really unravels it.
Well, here's another thing too that I didn't really think anything of it until about 2017, and with good reason. Okay. Is when we were doing the board, I asked if there's ever going to be a war. Now, this would have been probably 1977, 78. So I would have been about 7, 8, 9, 10, about 10, 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, yes, there's going to be, it goes WW3. And I go, WW3, okay. When? And then it's spelled out 2017 to like 2022, 21, 22. And now, understand, when you're 10, 11 years old, and it's like 1970, 78.
Yeah.
That seems like sci-fi.
Oh, yeah. A million years from now. I'm not going to worry about that. Yeah.
I'm not thinking anything about that, right? So my child mentality, my early teenage mentality is like, where will I be when this happens? And it says Europe. I go, Europe? So I'm thinking, am I going to be fighting in the war? No. So I'm thinking, why am I in Europe? I'm like, okay, I must be working for the government or the military or something. No. No. What am I going to be doing in Europe? Why am I in Europe at that time? You will be speaking to us.
Wow.
I'll be speaking to you.
Yeah.
I'm there with the Ouija board speaking to you. I go, so then I must be working for the government if I'm an adult and I'm talking to spirits and there's a war going on. They're like, no, you'll see. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I didn't think anything of it for many years, right? Then when it hit me and I realized when I got the show Help My House is Haunted and I'm in the UK in 2017 and I'm like, holy shit, I am in the UK talking to spirits and it's 2017. And I'm like, oh my God, they're 50% correct right now. Because then I was out there 2019 and it looks like I may be out there again September, October.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this other 50% of that prophecy of there being a war, we've got this window right now for the next 2 years of there being a world war.
Yeah.
So it has me scared. It has me worried. Okay. And I've posted that and I've talked about this the last couple of years. There's a war coming, this and that. I see that on the timeline. And then I remember this. I told my co-host Barry, I told Sandy, and I even told Jane, I said, we're in this window right now. I hope I'm wrong. Hope they were wrong, right? But I have to tell you, they're 50% correct right now because I had no idea I would be doing what I'm doing now in the UK, in Europe, during this time period.
That is amazing.
With that being said, Chris, like when you talked a little bit about like consulting and you've talked about, haunted locations and, the Ouija board and all these different things, how are you or how do you protect yourself from absorbing all of this energy all the time, in a way that protects you from it impacting your daily life?
I don't. I'm the first to tell you I'm very lazy with that. When we go to locations where we have a lot of negative stuff going on, I will do a cleansing. I got holy water, I got incense, I got chimes, we'll do prayers, and that's about it, okay? The one thing I need to do more of, and I know this because I've had a lot of stuff go on in my house in the last couple of weeks, is the people that come to my house for the readings is cleansing when they're gone.
Right.
And I used to put out Dead Sea salt and stuff and incense around the house, everything before they came in to clean that and do prayer that anybody that walks through any attachments, they can't pass this threshold. And then I stopped doing that for a while because you just get so many things. It's like, oh my God, I got to do a ritual every time someone comes over. So I just stopped doing that. So here's the other thing, though, is I'm not afraid of any of it. So when stuff does get in the house and go through, if it does get bad, then I just get rid of it. I'll do cleansings. I'll do casting. Yes, it impacts me, of course. But I consider it this way, no different than a football player, someone that's an athlete, someone that's a police officer, someone that's in the military. You're going to get banged up and you're going to get in some situations like that. It's just part of the job, And I'll hear stuff. I just start talking about last week, the stuff that I was hearing every single night that was going on. And I'm like, I hear you. Okay. All right. I need to go to sleep. Don't do this anymore. And then I'll just go to bed.
So you're saying that it doesn't scare you if you have things going on inside of your house?
Nope.
Do you ever feel apprehensive or nervous in any of your investigations or any of the places that you've went? And if so, what caused that?
It's a good question. Sometimes when we're in a really, really dark place and I can't see, I do get a little scared, and here's why. Is number one, you can't see, and I hate spiders. So last thing I want is a spider jumping on me or this and not, or falling into something. That's that type of thing. Plus, when I was a kid and it was pitch dark in the room, I would get grabbed sometimes, or you would feel something breathe on you and whisper to you. Then I would have these nightmares. I'm in this blackness and the devil comes forward. So that's from my childhood. So when I'm in some of these situations now in a really, really dark place, rarely do I sit there in complete darkness. I just don't want to do that. Okay? I have to have some light source. Mm-hmm. But if I am in that situation, it starts to go in my back of my mind, that fear from my childhood. I said, you know what? I'm not a child anymore. I can't fear for that. I just got to use my senses, protect myself, and if anything's here, I just got to communicate with it. But it is on my mind. I got to admit, I can't, I'm human. And if people were able to replay and view some of my childhood experiences in regards to that, you would be able to connect it and understand. I do get startled when something comes up to me sometimes and grabs me, because I had that happen as a child. You're laying in bed and you get tapped on the shoulder, or something pulls your sheets off or grabs your arm. It's like it reverts right back to that childhood, like,
Sure.
Okay, I'm in control. I'm back in control, And it's funny, we had this happen at one of our locations when we were filming this past season, and I was sitting there, and we're broad daylight, was it broad daylight? I can't remember. I did my walk through broad daylight, but I'm sitting there, and I know Barry and Jane are trying to communicate with this girl's spirit. So I'm like, all right, spirit, go touch them, go do something, get their attention. And the REM pod was going off, and I'm like, just grab them or do something. And then I got grabbed, and I jumped and screamed and ran out of the room, and I stopped, and I go, all right, I'm not afraid. I just did that because I got startled. I'm like, what the hell? You were supposed to do that to them, not me. So it snuck up and did it to me. Our director of photography was like, man, I saw the fear in your eyes. He goes, I saw the way you react to the fear of your eyes. Like, he was kind of apprehensive. He goes, well, better not touch me now, So you can tell, when some people have that. Like, I've had a cameraman once, you could tell he was scared. We had a director during Dead Famous. He quit after that episode because he saw a hand come right through the wall, and it tapped on the shoulder, and I saw it come right through, and I thought someone was kidding around with him behind, but there was a wall there, a solid wall, and I said, oh my God, it morphed right through the wall and came right out. And I'm like, this is so awesome. And he's like shaking because he didn't believe in ghosts. So I take the camera, I'm filming him, and he doesn't want to be filmed. He didn't put any of it in the episode of his interview. I was so upset about that, and he quit. He has to be taken off that show. So you're going to have people that freak out, and it's okay to freak out, but then you have to come right back and say, hey, I got a job to do. I have to communicate with these spirits. And they're going to try to create fear. They're going to try to create that being scared. And if someone else gets scared, I got to try to get them to say, it's okay, you're with us. We can get through this.
When do the wise... Oh, go ahead, Dina. I was just going to ask Chris, when do the wise know when they're over their head, though? Because there has to be a certain limit where you got to have wisdom enough to know when to make a calculated retreat.
Calculated retreat. I have not been in that situation yet. The calculated retreat, when you have this demonic entity coming after you and you got the sitter throwing towels at it and you're hiding behind her in sheer terror, when you are in your room and these creatures are coming through the ceiling and you're lifting off the bed, and there's nobody else around, and then another time you're home with your sister and this dark black mass is coming down the stairs and you got to run across because your parents aren't home, and that's it. You think you're going to die. You step up to another level, like screw this. I'm tired of being scared because I've been scared for so long. I'm not gonna be scared anymore. It's like,
and the reason why I asked that, what wasn't necessarily for you, but for the average group that's out there that wants to dabble with the demonic, that wants to come and just really come get me, I'm ready to fight.
That's ridiculous.
Those
are the type of people that they want that experience, but they don't fully understand what that experience is.
And the reason why I bring it up is we
get
emails like that for the show every week.
Oh, hi, baby.
That they're tempting something far more powerful than themselves, and so ignorant that they're almost blissful about it.
And that's the thing, is that until you have been possessed, until you've had that type of experience, until you've felt that oppression, that depression that they throw on you, until you've had all the bad luck that comes your way, the damage to your body, your mentality, and then how they affect other people's view on you when it's not true, but they put those thoughts in people's heads, you have no idea what you're messing with. It's not like you have one experience that's over with. You could be marked, and they'll follow you around your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So what about when we think about like fear and the fear factor? Like, I know that I saw you do this in Dead Famous, and then also I did see you do this in Gettysburg on an investigation that I was on with you, where you actually channeled, did some channeling.
Right.
And I mean, don't you find that frightening? I found that frightening as a spectator.
No. And here's the thing that's interesting about it. I was just thinking about this last week. It's cat hair. When she wants attention, I got to give her attention. I'm sorry. Just the way she is.
That's why she's your overlord, Chris.
That's right. The thing is with the channeling is I want to get to know the spirit better. So sometimes I will see and feel the emotions, like the body things that they went through, if they were stabbed, if this happened to them, the emotions. I'll pick up more of their memories. That's just not flashes of images, but there's emotions attached to it. And when I see that, I get to understand them, like this father that was looking for his daughter, and I'm like, oh my God, I can feel this emotion. I've never had kids, but now I'm bawling because I'm feeling his loss of having all this love for your child and then being separated and wanting to know where she is. And I'm like, holy cow. So it allows me to put myself in their shoes and to see from their vantage point with the emotion attached to say, well, okay, this is very impactful for me. Then let's see if I can help them or better understand them. Sure, it's creepy for other people. But what we started doing, because I know there's a lot of skepticism with channeling, and obviously we videotape the channel sessions, but then also we audio record, and then we listen for the EVPs. Mm-hmm. And the cool thing is you get the spirit talking about going into you, basically saying, okay, I'm going to slide in, I'm going to be in this person, I'm going to talk. Okay, and then you have other spirits, let me in too. And there's other spirits wanting to come in. And it's great when you have those EVPs because you understand what's going on. And people are like, okay, I don't believe that you were channeling. I was all right, well, listen to this audio. Holy cow.
So when you channel, Chris, you're not a trance medium then. You're completely aware and cognizant of what's going on.
Not always.
Yeah.
There have been some times where I don't remember anything.
No.
And then I come back and I'm like, what the heck just happened? Where it becomes very strong. But those situations would have been earlier on, and a few years ago. Now I do try to control more, and I've learned how to do that, where I said, hey, I'm not going to fully allow you to go into my body. I'm just going to allow you to come in slowly, and I'm going to maintain it, and I'm going to communicate with you back and forth. I'm going to allow you to communicate through me, but I'm also going to communicate with you. It's like a duality to where I'm allowing that spirit to speak through me, but then I will also speak as if I'm speaking to it, because it doesn't have a physical form. But if I allow it to come in that physical form, I get it a lot closer, where not only do I get the conversation everybody else can hear, but I also start to pick up on some of its emotions, and I have it there right with me. So that's become really interesting, because we've done that even with demonics, with these demonic entities, and I've allowed them to come through, and then angels would appear, and then the angels would take them. And then by them feeling some of my energy, they feel difference compared to other people that just show fear. They start feeling other things, and I try to convert that as well. It's really hard to explain, but it's like you take someone for a few moments and you show them all these other things very quickly, which you're allowed to do on the other side, and then you put them right back. And now they're like, wow, I didn't know that. Okay. Because I tend to leave my body sometimes as well. I'll do this sometimes when I'm sleeping at night, but then I'll also do it when I'm channeling. I will go somewhere and they're there. There's a part of me that's still there. The part of me is somewhere else, and I'm taking them with and then bringing them back. It's hard to explain until you've experienced it, and then you have these other spirits that come forward that assist. It's just phenomenal. Phenomenal.
I think it looks scary because it looks like maybe you're not able, and I don't know, this would be a question, I guess, for you, is like, are you able to control or like pull yourself out of it when you want to, or is that not always the case?
It's a very good question, because, when I look back years ago, there was times I couldn't. I remember we did a seance at, Calneva Lodge we had this Indian that came through, and then this other person, Sammy Davis, and then I saw Frank Sinatra just for a brief moment. He's like, "What the hell do you want?" He's like, "Leave me alone." And I'm like, "Oh wow, I didn't expect that." But
Blue
this
eyes?
thing was still, this thing was still attached to me, and my arm, I could not control. I had no control of my arm. My arm was still going like crazy. And I think maybe then it was wanting me to do automatic writing, but I didn't do that back then. I didn't know about it. But my hand, and I'm like, I can't get my hand to stop. And Tom and Lisa Butler were there, and I remember they were putting their hands there, and Janice Oberdink was there too, and they were trying to hold my arm down, saying, okay, just focus, relax. Those were the early stages when I started channeling, where it was still attached at times. Now it's like, I'll get it gone. It'll disappear. I'm myself, and so far everything's been fine because I've learned over the years how to control that. Mm-hmm. But I know it looks scary for other people, and I understand that.
Yeah.
And I know my co-hosts, when they first start seeing this, they're freaking out, and they're like, "Chris, are you okay? Are you okay?" And I had to tell them when I came out, I said, "Listen, I'm okay."
Yeah,
okay?
you gotta watch.
You just watch.
Yeah.
And if there's any questions you can think of, you ask. And if it's saying something and it doesn't make sense, ask it, Just allow me, because I'm conversing with it while I'm in there. And you may not hear what I'm saying. You may not know everything's going on, but I'll tell you afterwards when I come out. Just don't cut me off with what I'm doing, too. Like, "Oh, Chris, you got to come out of this. Come on." If I'm not done yet, I'm not done. Let me finish with them. So
I think that was probably like one of my most amazing experiences in the paranormal, was being able to actually see that. Because I'd never experienced that before.
No,
sorry to cut you off.
You didn't cut me off. No, you
cut Joel off. I'm sorry.
That's all right, Dina. You're the host.
Okay.
You just tell them, "Hey, this is my show." No, I'm kidding, of course.
All right.
But no, very interesting. So when you're channeling, you almost take on a different physical form. Do you ever take on any of their ailments? I mean, you said you feel it, but there's no long-lasting effects after the channeling.
No, Joel, there is. And there's been times, and I really don't want to talk about it, but I've been to certain places, and I'll look at people, and then I get these flashes of images of some of the people I've conversed with, where they've killed people and this and that, and I get this slight urge or this thought. And I go, "Whoa, where did that thought come from? What the hell?" Mm-hmm. And sometimes I have to, deal with that. I mean, it's very infrequent, but there's been times. But I realize that's not my memory, that's their memory. That's not my memory, that's their memory. And yeah, it's been tough, Mm-hmm. And then sometimes certain situations I'll start getting emotional. Why am I getting emotional? And I realize it's very similar to a situation a spirit had that it's relating to, that memory's still there. So yeah, you do tend to absorb bits and pieces of these things. But what's cool about that too is when you absorb all these experiences, it's all part of the collective anyway, and it exists there, and you can access that when you die. You connect with it. Is other spirits recognize that? And the interesting thing, and I don't know if I'm actually comfortable with this term, but in the last 2 years, spirits have been calling me preacher. When I walk into a home, they said, "The preacher is here." And the reason being they're saying that, because I've had a discussion with Barry Guy about this. Mm-hmm. We're getting these EVPs saying the preacher. And at first they said, "Get preacher." Okay, years ago I got this, "Get preacher." I go, "Preacher? We don't know a preacher." It was me they were talking about, because now they're always saying, "You're a preacher, the preacher, thank you, preacher." And I'm like, why am I? And I said to Barry, "Why they call me preacher?" He's like, "Chris, you come in and you do prayers for the dead. You bless the house.
Yeah.
You speak to them, and then you do prayers to help them. And you always ask them, well, do you want me to pray for you?"
And you help people cross over, too.
And I'm like, I never thought of it that way, but, I
almost otherworldly clergy. Otherworldly clergy.
I guess. I'm not a saint, though. That's for sure. And I don't want to get thrown into that category, but I realize there's a responsibility when I hear that. I'm like, oh my God, like I had a long conversation with Adam Bly about that. I said, "Adam, they're calling me preacher now." Mm-hmm. He says, "Well, you could take courses and get your license and this and that." I said, "I don't know, It's just weird."
Oh, poor Adam. We lost him entirely too soon, by the way.
I know from personal experience that 5
Adam's
minutes.
Still alive?
Was it Adam? No, Calder. I was thinking about Adam, Father Andrew Calder. Never mind.
No, Adam Calder too. Yeah, I was friends with him, and we did some exorcisms. But yeah, God bless him. He was an amazing man.
Yeah.
But no, I was talking about Adam Bly.
Yeah, because I had him on and Calder on at the same time one time during the radio show.
Wow.
And it was pretty deep and heavy. I mean, I couldn't believe what Father Calder went through. I mean,
horrible.
Ugh. I mean, we've had exorcists on the show. We've had the heaviest of the heavy. We've had the big time exorcists, and they all say one thing to us uniformly: when you do this work, a little of you dies, and you don't get that back.
So true.
Piece by piece, just a little chink in the armor shows more and more. And that for you to do that's some ability, because I mean, if you're taking and you're absorbing that.
The thing is, I used to go out 3 times a week, obviously when I was younger, 2000s and stuff, and I used to go to grand openings, I used to go to parties, and I used to go all this stuff, and I rarely do that now. And if I do, I just sit there, and it's hard to associate because I see things so differently, and I see how in the invisible spectrum people can be influenced and how things, go. Like at certain bars, I'll see, demonic entities attached to people, or I'll see things fly around, or sometimes I'll come in contact. I told my buddy about it, and last year we went to a bar, and we got in a huge fight, and we're screaming and yelling at each other. And I wanted to punch him, and he wanted to punch me, and all of a sudden something tells me, just drive your car head on into this other car. And then I was like, no. I said, oh, I see what's going on. Okay. I said, hey, we're going somewhere else. He was like, no, take me home. I said, oh, no, you're not going home with this attached to you. I said, we're going somewhere else. We go somewhere else, and next thing you know, we're both completely fine. He comes up and goes, what the hell happened? And I said, remember I've told you about the... He was like, yeah. I said, that's what happened. I said, do you understand? This is why I don't drink, all right? Mm-hmm. You bought me 2 drinks. They were freaking strong. So it affected my life force to where they were able to get into me, and then also into you, and they wanted us, to hurt each other, to do something that we would regret.
Yeah.
And they didn't. He's like, I never would have believed this. He says, Chris, I've never in my life said what I said to you. I said, I understand. He goes, I never thought of what I thought of in that car. I said, I know, I understand. It's them, not you. He says, but that's just how do we, he's always questioning, how do we protect yourself? So I said, well, sometimes you can't. It's just, you have to be careful what you do and what you get into and who you're around, and become aware of it. And then just say, oh, no, and just convert back to yourself. So that was a rough one. And that was we went to the old Excalibur in Chicago. It's now Tao. That's where it happened. That place is haunted.
I was there. Yeah. The old Excalibur.
Yeah, it's Tao now.
Years ago. That's 90s.
Yeah. This was last year this happened.
Wow.
Crazy.
So you have to be careful.
That's how long ago I was there at the Excalibur. It's probably late 90s, early 2000s.
Wow. So I guess my next question for you, Chris, is you talked a little bit in the beginning about, being young and seeing spirits or ghosts or whatever you want to call them. And I guess I'm wondering, what age do you think that you realized that maybe you had some special gift that allowed you to be able to speak with spirits?
Well, here's the thing. That's a good question. And I never thought that I had a special gift. I thought it was just normal, because in the early stages, I thought it was normal. When I was 3 years old, I had the dream that my sister was going to drown. My mom comes into the room because I'm crying, saying, Kelly's going to die, or she died. And my mom says, no, she's fine. And because my mom has had precognitive dreams, she's rehearsed it with me. She's like, okay, tell me about this dream step by step. So I told her step by step. She told me what to do, if that ever happens. And because I tried to jump in to save my sister, she was drowning. And she goes, no, you're too young to swim, you get help. And sure enough, 6 months later, it happened exactly like the dream. But because what my mom told me to do at that moment, I go, oh, my sister's going to die unless I do this. Mm-hmm. So I went and did that, and we saved my sister's life without a second to spare. So because of that, I'm like, okay, I got to pay attention to my dreams. I got to pay attention to these little visions and things that I get. Like we walk in the store, Mom, that guy's going to trip and he's going to spill his glass. Son, don't say that. That's not. Told you, So those types of things, you just think it's normal. But then when I started going to first grade and second grade, and I started telling kids about the ghosts, and kids didn't believe me, and I'm like, well, what do you mean you don't believe me? But that's what's going on. And some kids, well, yeah, I seen it too. No, you're making up the stories. And the teacher pulls me out in the hallway, quit lying. I go, I'm not lying. I didn't realize that other people didn't have these experiences, and other people didn't believe. I didn't know that. So that became very traumatic for me, my first grade, second grade, and third grade. was that I realized, my God, not everybody's seen this. Then I thought something's wrong with me. Then when we started having the demonic experiences, I remember during the daytime, I was going through the book of the Omen or Damien Omen 2, and I'm going through the book. I started reading it because I wanted to know, am I the Antichrist? Because I'm seeing demons, and demons are coming out of the walls attacking us. So I must be the Antichrist. I'm like, well, I hope I'm not. And then it said you had, on the forehead or on the back of the head 666. So I remember telling my dad to come in. I go, Dad, come in. You got to look at my head. He's like, what? I go, you got to look and see if there's any number. I swear to God, this is so broad daylight. My dad's going through my head. He goes, what am I looking for? I said, just look for number 666. So my dad, of course, knows what I'm saying. He's like, oh my God. I go, what?
There it is.
Screaming. He's like, what? He goes, I go, what is it? He goes, it's 665. And I go, 665. I'm like, what does that mean? And I'm like screaming like, wait, because like, son, I'm just messing with you. So I'm like, that's it. I'm shaving my head. I'm shaking. He's like, oh, son, there was nothing there. It took me a while to believe that there was nothing there, right? But you know, my dad would mess with me at times. So
that's adorable. That's a great story.
That's okay.
So I just thought it was normal, and even to this day, I don't think it's a gift. I don't think it's an ability. You know, you could say a doctor when he's an amazing surgeon. Does he have a gift? Yeah, maybe. You know, I don't know. We all have the ability to see and do these things, but not everybody applies it. Not everybody's aware of it, and not everybody is on that path in this life to do that. But on the other side, we all have ESP, collective consciousness, can see everything. So I'm just doing a part of what I do on the other side, and that we all do. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It really is. The ability that you have.
And here's the thing I'll say. Stay away from people out there that will try to say, well, I have these abilities and gifts and these powers. There's no such thing as psychic powers. Okay?
Yeah.
It's just you're tapping into the collective consciousness and you're aware. It's a power from the Creator that just comes through all of us, but just you're using it. But don't try to bring attention to yourself with all these abilities and this and that, because you can train people to do that. Just use that awareness, those abilities, whatever you have, to help people, not try to bring like attention to you. And that's like the one thing that I hate, man, is when people do that.
Years ago, a friend of mine is Penn Jillette, and from Penn and Teller.
Oh, wow.
And of course,
why is he such a skeptic?
He did a psychic reading on me. I'm not psychic, he said. I'm not psychic at all. He read me to a T. He says, anyone can do this. This is all cold reading. Not a problem. Boom, 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 boom.
It's cold reading. Can he do it if he doesn't look at you, and if you're in another room, or he's completely blindfolded and can't hear you or whatever else? Can he do it? No, they can't, because what they do is they'll watch you.
Exactly. I was going to bring up that point.
Yes.
Was I've noticed, because, you know, being around him and other magicians and stuff like that throughout the years, you kind of see a cold reader when you see a cold reader, and they're fairly easy to spot, really, if you know what you're looking for.
There is a mentalist, Joel Myers. Okay, Joel Myers has been on a lot of shows, and he's represented by GP Entertainment. And he's a great guy, and he's so talented, the magic tricks he does and everything. Years ago, this would have been maybe 2010, 2011, he says, Chris, can I talk to you? I can read you. I said, oh, you can? So he sits there, and I can tell he's looking at my eyes and this and that. And he was getting a few things right, a few things, you know. He's like, this is how it's done. This is how you and everybody do it. I said, okay, I now want you to do that. Turn the other way. Don't even look at me and try to do it. He's like, well, I can't. I said, okay, so when I do phone readings, or if I'm doing readings face-to-face with a person, but I'm not even looking at them, and I'm always looking at my legal pad and just talking to them, then how am I doing it? He's like, and then I said to him, what if, though, that sometimes when has there ever been some information you've gotten from somebody, you can't even believe how you got it, but yet there it was? He goes, yeah. So what if you're actually tapping into that collective consciousness, and you are legitimately reading them with information you wouldn't get? He's like, all right, now you just blew my mind. You know, so we had this conversation where he kind of tested and we discussed it, and he's like, wow, you know what? You're right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So
the reason why I brought that up is lately, I shouldn't say lately, it's been like this way forever, but it seems like it's back on the rise as people are giving all their money to these psychic mediums, alleged psychic mediums. They're doing nothing more than cold reading them. And a family member of mine years ago fell prey to that after my dad passed away. She started to. It's my mom. And she was interested in all these psychics. Like, I got to talk to these psychics. They got to know something. oh my God, they were so cold reading the poor woman. I had to put a stop to it. I'm like,
that's
no more. And so I feel bad for him, but as a legitimate article, psychic medium, that's got to piss you off. People like that.
I don't pay much attention to it. You know, I don't, what should we say? I mean, I remember Sylvia Brown was doing some stuff and saying stuff. I pretty much stay out of people like that unless I've had situations where they're leading somebody down a path that is just disrupting their life and other people's lives and something that's not true, because that person wants to. Here's the type of people you get: certain mediums that will say what you want to hear, and then the mediums that will say what they're getting that you need to hear. I'm the one that you're going to get stuff that you need to hear, and sometimes people don't like to hear it. And I've had people give me bad reviews like, I didn't need to know about how to get a job or this or that. And well, it's because you've been out of work for 3-4 years and they're telling you have really piss poor attitude, and that's why nobody will hire you. So you have to stay true to what the message is, not to get the person to like you. But then you have certain people that are certain fragmented, or they're not happy about themselves and they're trying to build themselves up. So if they make other people feel good about themselves, then they feel they're going to feel good about themselves, that they're doing something. And listen, I understand, and there's really nothing wrong with that in doing that. But the problem is then there's a dishonesty that goes with taking this person and telling this person just what they want to hear, but it's not the truth. It's just to make you look good or them feel good about themselves. But how does that really get them to grow and to evolve and do something important in their life?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to have that criticism, or you have to tell them something that's coming and this and that, so they can prepare themselves, or they can improve themselves to grow.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I want everybody to like me. I want everybody to like me. I'm just going to tell you what you need to hear.
Blowing hope and sunshine up someone's rear end has never truly helped them in the end. It's what they need to hear to change their situation. We're running late. We got to get out of here. But the best way to get a hold of Chris, I'm assuming, is ChristopherFleming.com. Check that out. Everything you want to know about Chris, what he's got coming up. He got paranormal events, everything to do with all of his television programs. Check that website out. You can also get a hold of Chris. You can book a reading, all that kind of good stuff. ChristopherFleming.com. Dina, thanks a ton for coming on, being tonight's co-host. And Chris, thank you, sir, for coming on. And Michael.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
As always, it's a privilege
Thank
to
you, Chris and Dina.
And thanks, Mike and Dina. And Joel, thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. Take care. Until next time, guys, take care of each other and love each other. After Hours AM is a production, Midwest Radio Productions. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And please visit www.americas-most-haunted.com.